Hi, I'm Georgia. I'm the Exec Director of deverellsmith, and I'm joined today by Tabitha, who I'm going to let introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Tabitha. I manage our new homes and later living teams here at deverellsmith.
So today we're going to talk a lot about talent and some advice for our clients within the residential development sector. I'm going to kick straight off and ask you straight off the bat, Tabs, are people moving or are they not?
I think it's a real mixed bag. There's a mixed bag of people staying put for the fear of, the market. It's no secret that the market is, in a difficult place. So some people are choosing to stay put, and some people are seeing it. I think some people are seeing it as a massive opportunity and going out there, joining new businesses and paving the way. So yeah, I think there's a real mix of people putting caution to the wind and that people actually staying a bit more cautious.
Yeah, nice. I think I agree. I think there's definitely some, I think I've said to quite a few people I've spoken to recently, like lots of people will have a conversation, but actually when it comes to crunch time, they've got to be pretty certain that it's the right thing for them. Both the hiring the hiring manager or the hiring business and the person that's looking for a role, people want to be dead certain that it's going to work before making any decisions, and I think that's what we tend to be seeing.
I agree. I think it's a very different market to what it was 3 years ago, where people would see an opportunity, see more money and move. I think now you're right. People are moving because they really believe in the business and the product that they're moving to.
Yeah, 100%. If for anyone out there who is looking for a role, what would be your main advice for them?
I think it's a tricky market, so I think you've got to make yourself stand out. There is definitely opportunity there, but I think you've got to, I always think go back to basics. It's all about, for me, it's about being conscientious. It's about the little things of making sure that your CV, for as much as we all love ChatGPT, isn't solely written on ChatGPT.
Yeah.
It's about making sure that when you turn up to an interview, you're really well prepared. If you're going for a site job, you've researched that development. It's making sure that you know who the manager is, and things like following up with the manager after the interview to say thank you for your time. I think
100%.
They're the things that really make you stand out in a job short market.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you see?
Yeah, I agree. I think people are definitely going back to basics now. Wanting people that really want to work there, showing a desire by doing some research before. Just basic politeness of, saying thank you, following up, and also asking some good questions. Like, I do believe we've moved on from the era where it's, the business interviews the person and they get sort of pick if they want them or not. As the interviewee, I do believe it's your job also to ask good questions so that you fully understand what you're getting yourself into. And stuff like people don't know. If you don't ask the question, the person interviewing you doesn't know you might like to offer that information. So if you're not, if you go into the interview and you're not getting, you're not understanding what their future plan is or whatever, like ask all that sort of stuff. Because I think those are then sometimes the questions that we get asked back, and I always think like, why didn't you guys discuss this?
That in the interview,
because it's definitely best not coming from us. So that would be my advice, is just ask really good questions and be interested.
I think another big thing that I've seen is think outside the box and don't necessarily say no to an opportunity, because even though the job role on paper on a job description might be not exactly what you're looking for, you actually might walk into the room and they start to then see the opportunity in you, and a role gets shaped around you.
Yeah.
So I think it's don't close the door before you've even sort of gone in there and met the people.
Yeah. I think I've always said this for years, and I think now more than ever, my biggest bit of advice to anyone is like, pick the company, not the job. A job is a job, and yes, I always believe if you can't move for a bit more money and one step up or a bit of a promotion, you're probably overpaid or not in the right job. So you should all that whole feel see so many job people that just move around every couple of years just to get that sort of $2 to $5 grand more and marginally maybe marginally more responsibility. But actually, I think pick the company that's going to be able to really excel you and give you 3-4 promotions rather than just constantly looking for one all the time. I'd pick the businesses that are able to offer that and ask questions like, who in the business has moved up. It's always great, I think, if a business can demonstrate people that have been promoted internally, people that they've offered careers to.
I think that's a really interesting point, actually, because there's a whole big movement on TikTok at the minute around, there's a big promotion around to get, or lots of people talking about to get more money, you've got to hop jobs. Yeah. But actually to find a business that really culturally aligns with you and stick with it, I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, I think, I'm a bit biased, probably I've been here for donkey's years, but I believe if you're a good, decent person, a business will want to keep you, providing that you're putting yourself out there. And sometimes you do come to the end. I always believe if you stop growing, you stop developing and you stop learning, you should move on. So I'm not saying that people should never move, but I think pick a business where you do really see yourself for a longer period of time,
and
rather than just a year or 2 years, and
ask the questions in the interview that mean you can stay there for a long time.
Definitely. So a lot of our customers or our clients, so hiring managers and businesses that are hiring, ask us quite a lot, what can they do to make themselves attractive, particularly to try and hire talent that maybe isn't actively looking. Any advice for them, or what do you see works?
We get this a lot, and I think, now more than ever, post-pandemic, we've seen a lot of changes in what candidates want.
Yeah.
I think that goes for both work-life balance, working from home, flexi-working, and also, in tough markets, people do, and with the cost of living crisis, people look for financial security.
Yeah.
So I think the two things for me that really make the difference in how attractive a job role is the work-life balance that candidate will have. So offering weekends off if it's a site role, giving some flexibility around, where they can base themselves. And it doesn't necessarily have to be work from home, but I think the flexibility piece is important because people do have lives outside of work.
Yeah.
And I think paying fairly for the job role that they do and offering enough of a basic salary that people can afford to live in London with the cost of living crisis. I think they're very, very important. But you'll probably have some other thoughts on clients in terms of
I think from an interview perspective, I do, good people normally buy into the business. So I think selling the business and the plan, not the job, is really key. The amount of times I've sat in on interviews and clients have just completely asked loads of questions and not said anything about the company. I think you put, particularly if people are coming in who aren't actively looking for a job, they need to be really sold the company and the opportunity. So I think, doing that. And I would, echo what you said, decent. Most people aren't going to move for a like sort of position. And I know in this environment, lots of our clients need people who've got experience and, can demonstrate they're going to be able to do the job. But if they want to attract someone who is going to move for a similar-ish position, they've got, there's got to be a catch. They've got to move for something. So whether that's buying into the business, whether that's more money, whether that's a better team.
Yeah.
I believe the team thing's important as well. We've sort of lost that a little bit. People buy into the people that they work with, and I think bringing them in, getting them involved in some of the company culture pieces, whether they get invited to a social or invited to an event that someone's doing, show off the business. If you are working for somewhere that you really enjoy working and you're trying to hire into your team, show that off a bit. I think we've sort of forgotten that a little bit sometimes.
I think there's lots of other things that are drawing candidates in now as well that need to be shouted about in terms of people's view on their sustainability policies and things like that. I've never been asked the question so much as I have recently around, what's this business's sustainability policy? And I've had to go away and say, I didn't know that. So it's a question that I'm now asking to my clients because it's a really big thing.
I think as well, if you offer good benefits as a business, very rarely will people want to ask about that in an interview because they feel that sometimes it can give off the wrong vibe. Any businesses that can create almost benefit packs that they can send out that is then just voluntarily given to people, I think is really useful because I think we're seeing now more than ever, usually I always used to just get asked what's the basic, what's the bonus, or what's the commission. Now it's what's the maternity and paternity policy, what are the long-term incentives, can I buy and sell holiday, etc., etc. And I think if that's just readily available rather than then having to ask for it or waiting for a contract, I think that would go down quite well. So on that then, I think the world has really evolved over the last 10 years, I'd say. And I think we have seen a lot of people moving to different sectors or even moving internationally. What do you think we can do as a sector to remain attractive and, so that not, everyone likes going and working for some super cool tech business, but how do we keep property as sort of attractive as it once was, I guess?
I think this is something we talk about quite a lot, isn't it? But look, one of the best things about property is how sociable it is. It's being able to get out in front of people. It's going to the networking events. It's, everything about property is good fun. And that's why everybody has always kind of been drawn to property.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big part of it, that with, all the working from home and the flexibility and people being able to work globally, that we have slightly lost because there aren't as many networking events.
Aspect. Yeah.
And if there are, people leave early because, people live further afield now and that's fine. But I think that's a really important selling piece for our industry is the people working in it love people.
Yeah,
that's why they're in
keep the
it.
fun.
Yeah,
I agree with that. Keep the fun. And also, I think it's really easy. You know, I sit in front of some people that have been, and I get it. It's been, you know, the market has been hard for some people for a long time. But when you're just moaning all the time, like, you know, it's not very. You're not really selling it. So I think trying to keep positive yourself and trying to keep people, you know, to inspire people and keeping it fun is really important, particularly when you're talking about the lower talent coming in.
And I think businesses evolving,
lower level talent, I mean.
Yeah, and businesses moving and evolving with the times, for me, is really important, because it's really nice to see within the last 12 months we've seen a couple of new players sort of coming into the market with really different views on things that for me is really important, really refreshing. And we've seen some people who've been in the industry for a very long time move to those new businesses, and it's, you know, it's created a little bit of market, not disruption, I'd go as far to say, but, you know, something to talk about, which has been really interesting. And I think that's key, because we've got to evolve and move, and
some movement. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Final question then. What advice would you give to someone wanting to progress their career within residential development?
This is a good one. I think you've just got to be willing to learn. Like, put yourself out there, put yourself in the difficult situations, go to the networking event that you really don't want to go to, stick your hand up to do the spreadsheet that you probably don't want to fill in, but, you know, it's going to put you in the good books. I think it's just all about going the extra mile and taking it back to basics, like all the stuff that somehow has maybe been forgotten, but taking it upon yourself rather than having to be told to do things, I think is really, really important.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And it's all about that learning piece for me, I think.
I agree. I think it focus on, you know, too many people get focused on the title and the job description, when actually it's all about how much you know and your knowledge. The longer you've worked somewhere, the more experience you've got, the more credible you become. So I'd focus on the learning and putting yourselves in situations where you're going to learn something new. That's how you really, you know, you really grow, I think.
Yeah.
Great.
Thanks, George.
Nice to catch up, Tabs. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you, George.